Hey guys, and welcome to my UDK tutorial series, part 11. And in this I'll be showing you, and why did, stupid, yeah, never mind. Anyway, I'll be showing you various special effects that you can end up doing with, UDK. And these are kind of things that I couldn't really kind of fit into the other, normal sequence of things, and something that kind of can be covered on its own little section that could be kind of a bit of a while. So these things include like wind and lens flares and fog and some things like that. Not like water and stuff, but like just random kind of special effects that can kind of help make your level better. Particle effects and things like that I'll be covering separately because those are pretty big. But these three things kind of together I figured would kind of group in. So I just that's kind of what this is going to be about. First of all, you can see I put some random foliage around here and also right up there, and I have it in real time as well. So it's playing, well, not playing, but it's got the wind. I've got it in real time so that you can see the real time effects of the thing. That's what I meant. I just couldn't form words. Ugh, dang it. But and as you can see, it's pretty nifty because these are all a bunch of trees and the limbs are shaking back and forth in the wind that I've got going here. And my camera is casting a shadow, and I don't know how to fix that. So anyway, this is the little wind icon. It's kind of the same as the height fog thing, and it's just wind directional source. And some of these things, and one really good thing to do is if you're interested in a lot of different things, you go to the click on the content browser and you'll get this. But if you go up here, you can go to your actor classes, and you also have levels and scene, and then which is all the stuff in your level, and you have layers and documentation. But if you go to your actor classes, it pretty much lists a lot of like all the different kinds of items that you can put into your level. Now obviously it's not going to list all the different static meshes. The subtypes are pretty much in here, kind of what it's called, because you have different types of static meshes. But basically, if you were to go to static meshes, you've then got three kinds here, and then if you click this, you've got those three kinds, and if you click this, you've got those two. And you can kind of put in these kind of like special type things that you can put in here, and some of the stuff isn't found in here. Like you've got your wind. You can't just right click and select wind actor. So if you're looking for some interesting things to kind of just play around with, you could check out this, because it's got some fun things in here, like the wind. Now I tried messing around with the wind point source, and I couldn't get it to want to work right at all. It wouldn't really do anything. What? And don't show that message again. Ugh. The wind directional source button is the one you can just drag it in here, and I'm not going to drag two in there. That might mess it up. But anyway, you can just drag it into your level, and then you can move it around. I have this 10 times the normal size just because my level's kind of large. And then you've got your little symbol here, and it's really pretty simple the way this works. You don't have any radius. The wind point source has a radius, and I could get it to work on another map, and it does work. I just I don't think it works whenever you have a wind directional source. The wind directional source kind of overrides it. I think because I was messing around and I got the wind point source to work, but there wasn't a wind directional source nearby. Well, there wasn't one at all in the level, and I put the wind directional source in here first. So I don't think the wind point source actually works with a wind directional. But that's just my theory. I haven't actually gone out and done rigorous testing to verify that that's the case. That's just kind of what I've been managed to be able to figure out. Um, so you can either use one or the other. And this acts just like a dominant directional light, which we have up here. Which technically it's not where the light is, it's somewhere over there, but I'm just pointing up there because it's the most obvious light giving thing. So yeah, it just goes on forever, and you can kind of aim it if you go here, and if you notice this white little thing, wherever that's pointing is where it's aiming at, so you can kind of turn it around and stuff like that. And obviously your scaling doesn't do anything because it's infinite. So now if you go over here, and this is pretty simple. It's really very simple. This doesn't really affect particle systems like smoke or anything because those are pre-made in the particle editor. So it's not like if you have smoke coming out of a chimney, it's not going to make the chimney, the smoke blow, because that would be acting directly, that would be editing the particle system itself. Unless you were to build some extremely advanced form of coding in Kismet, which you could do. You could make it work where it, like, you could have gusts of wind that would blow the particle mesh and particle system in various directions. You could get that to work, but that would be a lot of coding, and you'd have to be a lot more advanced than me to be able to do that. Now, the strength is these are very simple to understand. Like I said earlier, let me just kind of. Actually, having this tree up here is pretty good, actually. Now, again, it does pretty much edit everything. So, yeah, you don't have to worry about where you place it for it to work. So, right now, whoops, my camera's messing with the lighting. Hopefully you can still see it okay. Let me kind of get where it's not so dark. Okay. Get rid of view. Now, so I've got that over there, and my strength is at 5. Now, if I put this down to 1, which is the default, you can see the branches kind of aren't waving as much. Now, if I were to put this up to, say, 10, you would notice an obvious difference. Now they're like waving like much farther back. Now, if I put this back down to 1 and set the speed to 1, you might not notice much difference. Now, you can see it's not waving as quickly. Now, if I set this up to 10, now it's waving very quickly. So basically, the speed affects how quickly the motion of the limbs occurs, and then the strength affects how distorted the limbs become, basically. So if I were to set this up to 10 and 10, you would get this effect. So it's pushing them very quickly, but then the distortion is larger, and 100 is just really crazy. It's like all whacked out because it's distorting them a whole lot. And if I set that back down to that, you've got this really small movement back and forth. Now if I set the strength up to like 100, and then set the speed to 1, you've got a lot less, it's not blowing it as often, so it has more time to flex out and flex back in, so to speak. So it'll flex in and then flex back out. So, basically that's pretty much the basics of the wind right there. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So I kind of set this up a little, like that was 5. This was 3, because I kind of felt that matched the wind that we were getting off our sound. And my sound is not working for UDK at the moment, unfortunately, and I'll verify that. I don't think going in here is going to do anything. So it may actually be doing it in the video, and I just don't know. But oh no, it's working now. So if we go out here, you can kind of see the wind blowing in the trees now. And you can see the shadow is also dynamically updating. And so you can get some really cool God ray effects through this. So it's all intercombined, and it's really rather cool effect. So you got the wind blowing, and you got the wind sound. So that's that. Now, height fog, this won't really, it sounds like it would reduce lag stuff, but this is mostly just a visual effect. It's not really designed for reducing lag. And I'll show you kind of what it is. I'll go ahead and place one in here. The fog has its own separate category. Now you've got all these different things. I don't really know what the difference between exponential height fog and height fog is, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure the exponential height fog is like the main thing, because let's see, just the regular fog, oh, that is a wind directional source. Whenever you're pulling stuff out of this thing, it kind of wants to be a little ornery, so you got to make sure you got exactly the thing you want. There we go. So already you can see it adds this fog-like thing, and it already makes the whole thing seem like more abandoned and eerie. And as we get farther and farther away, we can see less and less and less, because the fog isn't getting thicker. It's just there's more fog. I mean, in a way it is getting thicker, but it's not like, it's just there's more fog between us, the camera, and our level. So as we move in, we can see things better. Now, it also works because you got the height of this the mountains here, which kind of help make this seem kind of just cooler, because it's kind of sticking out over above the fog. You can tell it's kind of high up the mountains, which is not really that high up in relation to the actual size, but that doesn't matter. Now, the options for this, you've got several different things, but the exponential height fog, if we were to put that in there, that, oh, okay, yeah, I know the difference between these two now. My bad. I just didn't play around with it long enough. Okay, so basically, exponential height fog is going to overwrite your regular fog. So let me find, because it just did. I put the exponential height fog in here and it overwrit that. So let me go to my scene and find my height fog and delete it. Yes. So if we look back, well, that's way far away, and this is our exponential height fog, which we need to drag a wee bit closer. Let's just drag this over here and drag it up. Okay, so if you notice, now that I dragged it up, we get fog now. And I'll drag it back down so I can see where I'm going. So basically, the way this kind of works is interesting. And the regular fog, I'll show you as well. Let me get, okay, need to increase that. That would probably help. So let me close this and bring this over here. So we've got this really dark, thick fog. Now if I bring this down, watch what happens. It goes away. So as I bring it up, it gets thicker, and as I bring it down, it goes away, and I can bring it all the way down. It's not going to do anything. So what this allows you to have is a fog level, at a certain point on your map, and it is affected by the light color. Obviously, it's over here. Now, if you were to go in and you've got a little bit of fog in here, you can kind of tell, sort of. If I go in here, you may be able to see it's just a little bit kind of mistier, sort of. It's just a little bit. And if I increase the fog density to 2, now you can really tell that there is definitely, in fact, lots of fog. And so you can have like a really interesting level design with this, with the really heavy fog. And again, you can, mess with this in Kismet to have it increase and decrease. Pretty much everything is able. Okay, I need to decrease the 0.1. There we go. So that increases the fog level. And see, because there's a difference between, there's a fog above and below level. So let me put this back down to like 0.02, which it was at. And so here's the fog level below. So you have like this distance depth fog thing, which kind of really helps when when you have this, where it kind of ends like this, because it helps just kind of, so it's just not just look down forever and ever and ever. It kind of layers out into fog, where it's just, it's kind of easier for the player to kind of believe a little bit better, because it kind of blends in maybe like a cloud level or something. And then the height fall off. So this would be, if you do 1, the height fall off will get closer. So you can adjust how close. And where is our, here you are. And I can move this back and forth and side to side. It's not really going to affect the fog at all, because this is pretty much true for the entire level. See, it's pretty much an infinite fog plane. So exponential height fog is like the dominant light and the dominant directional wind. It's infinite. So I think the regular fog is maybe not. I don't know. I'll have to see. I'll show you that in a second. So you've got this exponential fog here, and so you can adjust the color too. So if you wanted like a jungly greenish sort of color, you could do that. And it'll appear green like that, but it'll also mix, and it kind of gives a jungly feel, to everything, because it's kind of greenish. If you have a real big jungle, it kind of helps with the, because whenever you're in a jungle, you've got a misty whitish color, but then the light going in, it kind of makes everything green. So you can kind of get this, feel, and or if you're like, in the swamp or something, you could do all kinds of different colors. Pink. So you got this a pink fog. I don't know. If you wanted a pink fog, you could do that. If you're making a like My Little Pony level or something. Okay. Blue fog, whatever. And you've got your standard white fog. So if you do this kind of like a yellowish, kind of sort of greenish, kind of like that a little bit, and then a little bit more green. That kind of works a little bit. And it'll kind of work, and it's not so white, but it kind of is a little bit green, a little bit. This would work better if it was like in a jungle. I'm in a mountain, but I'm just kind of trying to show, because the blue fog doesn't really work very well. But so you've got oh dang it, I didn't want to select the terrain. Where's our height fog at? Exponential height fog. Where are you? Where did you go? Dang it. If you can't find something, just go to your scene thing, and then it'll double click it. Oh, 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway. Wait. Deselected it. Now that's the terrain. Oh, dang it. See, that's the only thing that gets annoying. The wind and the fog and everything is all the same icon. Which, I'm not going to get mad over that, because the people that made this engine, I'm sure they ran out of icons after a while. So you want to put this somewhere. You'll have to have the height, where it works. Or you could, either you could have it really high up in the air, or you could have, whoops, You could have it like the fog density less. And hang on 1 second. Sorry about any background noise. I'm sorry if there's any background noise. I was trying to go close my door so that wouldn't happen. Now you can always, like I was saying, you can turn the not the fog density, but the fog height fall off down to compensate for the fact that you want to have it really high up. So you could have it, higher up and it would work. And notice whenever I did that, let me do that again. Let me do this to set this down to 1. Now you have this fog, and then I set it down to like 2. It's thicker. Now if I do 0.02, 0.01, and then move this down, move this up, there's kind of like, whoops, is that even going up at all? Oh, my fog density is so low it doesn't really matter, I guess. Anyway, there. Okay, actually, I guess it's because my fog density is so low. Never mind. I'm sorry. My bad. I was just noticing this little bit of fog that's here, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, you can set your fog height fall off less to be able to compensate for having it up higher if you wanted to do that. Otherwise, you might have to have it kind of down low. Anyways, now your start distance, basically what that is, you can set how far away from the distance, like the tooltip said, from the camera. So you could do, if you did 10, which this is in world units, so you'd have to do a lot more. And it says it's in world units, so you have to do a whole lot more values for it to work. So if you were to do 2000, notice the whole front section of the camera is it's kind of done. So it's gone. So you can really do a lot more adjusting with the fog like this, because you could make the fog extremely thick. But as I move around, I'll still be able to see a certain distance in front of me. And this will work for the player too. So if I jump down here, and you'll have to rebuild the lighting whenever you do this. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You'll have to redo all the lighting. The wind does not require you to redo the lighting because it's just moving stuff around and it's dynamic stuff anyway. But just do keep that in mind. So we have the fog here. We've got our wind blowing. Now as I walk this way, I'm not encountering any fog at all. So it does work for the player. So you can, kind of mess around with it so that your player can, you have like a swampy area or something that the player's roaming around in or something. You could have it so that the player can only access a certain, can only see so far in a certain area. And then maybe, they got like a power-up or something that allowed the fog to be swept away so that they could see farther. And you can have, Kismet actively change objects properties when a certain thing has been met. So you can see the sky right there. Now if I back up, I don't know if it'll reach far enough away. As you can see, the fog's kind of closing in on the clouds till you can't see it anymore, really. Yeah. So it kind of just fades away, fades off. So that's kind of what that can do. And if I were to kind of travel up, I don't know if that would work. Might be kind of hard to find a place to be able to get up. This is kind of rather steep terrain. I'm not going to worry about that. So yeah, it does work for the player, and like I was saying, you can have Kismet actively change objects' properties. And I'll get into how to do a lot of Kismet stuff that I've been mentioning later on. I want to have a basic, base for how all the regular objects work before I get into the advanced Kismet stuff, because that's where a lot of your stuff is going to be happening in Kismet, to be able to do a lot of good things, to make your level better. And matinee and stuff, you can have it, do cinematics that you can be skipped, and all that kind of neat stuff. That the cinematics themselves can cause things to happen to the level that then stay there, like the day night change or something like that. So, um, but now if you were to you change this color, if you notice, we have this as being green, but then this is also we have our green fog. Now the fog density needs to be turned back down, and again, while our start distance is, I'll set that back to 0. So if it's 0, there will be no difference no matter where the camera is. Obviously, I'm just going to state that. And then the color, I'll get to these other things in a second. The color, I showed you the light in scattering color, which we messed with. But then the opposite light color is basically, you have kind of two sides. So you have the side where the light is shining on, and then the side that the light isn't shining on. And if I increase the fog density back up, you can see, let me get rid of you and get rid of you. You have your green over here, and you have your blue over here. Now if I mess with this, you have your yellow over there, which fades to green. Now if I increase this to pink, you have your pink, which actually fades to green. So you can have the same color if you wanted to on both sides, but you have, you would typically have your lighter color over where this the sun is, and then your not so light color over where the sun isn't at. And it does affect the clouds a little bit as well. And so you've got all this fog over here too, and you've got a lot of fog here. And so you want to kind of have these colors separate though, because obviously your light in scattering color is going to kind of determine a good deal of stuff, but the opposite light color is actually going to be determining a lot of what your fog itself actually looks like, kind of like the heaviness sort of in the air. So if you do like blue or something, you can see it changing. Now if I were to change this one around, you might not notice the change. You can notice, well, yeah, you can notice the change. But if I go back to changing this, you kind of notice both of them changing, and they're changing in different ways. So you kind of want to work with these together to kind of get it to do exactly what you want it to do. And so those kind of are both white, and so we have, down here it'll fade to whatever color it needs to be. So that's kind of how that works. And I'm sorry I don't know very much about UDK, but I can't really explain to you the difference between the two colors. Honestly, I just know that they're different, and you kind of just mess with both of them. Because I don't know exactly what's changing with the different colors, so I couldn't really tell you. Like, if I change this to like real pink or something, and then back away, okay, so then if I change this to blue, yeah, I can't really tell what's even changing. So if I change that to blue, you can obviously see that they're both changing, but they're kind of changing in almost the same way. So anyway, that's well, actually, you've got your light brightness, which if you increase this, the fog itself becomes brighter, so to speak. And this might be real bright, so just careful. So that's like pretty much all white, and then you increase it back down 0.03. If you would increase this down to like 0.004, you wouldn't really be able to see it almost at all. So you can, you've got a lot of options over your fog that you can really mess with. And then your in-scattering brightness. So I guess that would be me. I guess that would. Okay, that's the opposite light color I'm messing with. So go back to that. So if you do like 10 and then 1. Okay, so that will mess with, oh, so you can actually change the brightness levels of these two individual colors. I just realized that. My bad. I wasn't paying enough attention. So yeah, you can change the individual color tones of the fog, of which you can have two. And like all other color things, you can click on here and you have the RGB, which you can actually type in if you wanted to. It allows you to type it in, or you could just drag it. So if you're an artist or something and you had a specific color tone that you wanted to use, you could type that in there. So that's the exponential height fog, which I'm going to delete, and there's our normal level without the fog. And honestly, you kind of want to add a fog, and just if you don't really want the fog to be very visible, just have a very light fog, and just have like maybe a depth fog at least, because it just adds a lot of stuff to the level itself. That it just kind of makes it look better. Even a very, very light fog can be very helpful, especially at very long distances, and especially in the mountain area, because you're going to have a little bit of fog in the mountains regardless of what the weather is, just because of the cloud levels and stuff. Except I don't know, I'm not that good with weather, but anyway, you've got some various fog volumes, which you can kind of imagine what they do. Just volumes full of actual fog. I may get those out in a second. Now here's your other fog. This does go continuously. So let me delete this. And so there's with, or actually that's without, and then here's with. So, oh wow, had to be way over here, didn't it? I'm going to delete you later anyway, so it doesn't matter. So F4. And so, why is, like I said, it doesn't really want to behave sometimes. So let me bring this back up, and let me get a height fog. So you got to click on it and then click it again. So your height fog is pretty much directly linked to the height, and so you can kind of see it just kind of stretching over there. It's just pretty much like gray. It's like a gray color. And if I press F4, you can see there is a light color. So you could make this yellow if you wanted to. It would still be grayish, but it would have a yellowish tint to it. And so it's a simpler version of the exponential height fog. And this does also act like an infinite plane. You can kind of set this up and just kind of position it, and it works. And you have your density, your light brightness, your start distance, and your extinction distance, which is really, really far, which is not on the other one. So I guess if you set this down to that, what would it do? If I set this down to that, oh, I see what that does. So if you set that really low, as you get close, it's not as like see-through, I guess. So if I set that to 0, it'd be not see-through at all. So if I set this really high, okay, that was not what I wanted to do. So let's remove a couple zeros from that. So yeah, that's a lot more like see-through. So as I get back, you can, okay, so that's kind of what that does. So as the tooltip is 100% extinguished. Okay, so basically that means that you have to be at this distance for you not to be able to see any farther. So if I have that really, really low, then you won't be able to see past a certain point. So this is a little bit different. There's a like that different option, and it's just like a lot simpler version of the exponential height fog. So, and again, you can, I don't think you can use multiple of the exponential height fog. I don't know. I haven't tried it. But I know for a fact that there are different, there is a level in UDK, which I may show here in a minute, but no, I'm not going to show it. But it actually uses 3 height fogs to give a good effect of the level, and it uses 2 near each other of colors, and then a third one up higher. And they're not very dense. You can't really tell that the fog is there, but it adds enough of a fog that it makes the level look nice. And so you can use multiple of the basic one. I don't know about the exponential height fog. That wasn't actually in the level anywhere. So, I think you can only use one because it kind of overwrote my height fog whenever I placed it in there, because doesn't really work as much with the height as the other one. So on to lens flares, and this should be wrapping up. Like I said, these 3 kind of wouldn't be good on their own, but kind of needed to be in a video with a couple other things, which is kind of what I wanted to do here. Now, if I go to, let's see, uncategorized and lens flare. Now, I may cover a minute or two, but if I place a lens flare in here, okay, create archetype. Actually, wait. Okay, so okay, I guess I gotta do the content browser. Lens flare. Okay, well here's some lens. Yeah, okay, my bad. You do actually have to select one of these, a lens flare, and you give it the material, like this is just a material type, and this is actually a lens flare type. So I guess you have to use one of those, which I've never actually placed one of these in here, but let's just use this. And did it? Okay, it's loading it. It's got to process it, I guess. Oh, there we go. Now levels, scene, and lens flare source. Let's double click that. Okay, so if I back up away from this, and I were to position this where the sun is, let me get closer to the ground first, and I kind of position this up here. Okay. So now, I press F4, let's first source, component. Okay, and so, yeah, so now that we've got the source in here, you could get a different template for that, which is found in the content browser here, and you could type in like lens flare, and it has to be a lens flare type, which I did not know that, my bad. So, yeah, you've got a couple here, and they may be called something, you may have more, you may have to search. I don't know if there's more. I doubt it extremely, seeing as I type in lens flare, but that's that. So you've also got rendering, which I'm not seeing the actual lens flare itself. So is this in real time? It may have to be in real time. I don't know. Okay, there's something off the sun there, so you're getting something off the sun. So I don't know. Source color. I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't messed with these very much. Although I should have, but I didn't. Foreground. Oh. Detail mode. Let's put that high. Hidden game. Let's actually put a different one in here, because I don't think that's a good one for demonstration purposes. Let's do this lamp thing. Yeah, that's definitely something. I saw something happen whenever I placed that down here. So, okay, so we're getting the rays, but that's not actually. Let me. It may be something having to do with the rays. That may be part of the problem because I have the rays enabled. So let me find my light. Is that it? Yes, it is. Render light shafts. No. So now it won't render the light shafts. And I should be able to see this thing easier. So where is my lens flare? Bring it up in the level. There we go. Okay, so it's there. Oh, that's why it's not actually in the... Duh. It's sitting there, but it's not within the sphere. Ugh. There we go. So that should provide... That should be better now it's actually in here. So you can put the... You don't have to use these, in a... as the sun. You could have these as like a lamp or a ship light. Like a light or just any kind of light, really. Could be a lens flare. And a lot of lights are lens flares. And I'll show you this as soon as I get it within this building where it's kind of darker and I can probably see it better. And it's also under the building, so that would not be able to see it at all. It's under the building. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here we have this light thing here, and we have the source color. We've got our options here, and lighting. Let's see. Primitive component. Let's see. I think you can set this to... Okay, no. So you can make this rotate and things like that, but what I'm trying to find is how to actually get it to do its lens flare-y thing. Source color. So if I set that to green. Alright, let me go into the level and see. It may just be sitting up there. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so yeah, there is an actual... That's actually the lens flare. It's working. It's just not doing what I thought it would do. That's why it's not wanting to work correctly, because it's not doing what I thought it would do. Because, like, typically whenever you look, you see, like, a big streak of light or something running off of it. This is not, like, exactly doing what I wanted it to do. So, if I do max draw distance... affecting the object, level of detail distance. Okay, well I guess that's the lens flare. Huh. Okay. I don't know what this is wanting to do, because it's not working like I thought it would. So if I were to set this near the sun, yeah, it may just be the type of lens flare. That may be the problem, because it's just not a good type of lens flare. So I'm sorry. I'm a noob. I'm kind of sort of a noob at this, but I mean I know enough to be able to share my knowledge, and I kind of do this to kind of help myself learn too, a little bit. So you can kind of learn with me. So we can bring this up here, move it back a bit. And I guess you would kind of have to attach this to an object or something so that it would move around with that object to work correctly. So let me go outside and look at this, because otherwise it's just going to kind of be sitting in the air, and I don't really want that. Okay, yeah, that's okay, that's much better. So yeah, there's a lens flare right there for you. That's kind of what it looks like. I was expecting it to be like a bit different. Now you can make those moves. I was just kind of expecting it to be a bit different. That's what I was getting messed up at. So you could set this to like move with the sun, so that it was like right on there, so that you would have this, you could have that with the sun or something if you wanted, or you didn't even have to do that at all. But like, where did it go? There it is. So if you have a bunch of stars or something, you could put a bunch of little tiny lens flares, and if you do reduce the size, it works. Like if you were to do 2, it actually, or does it increase the size, or does it just increase the size of the particle thingy, the symbol? Oh, it also's got an arrow thingy too. So yeah, that's just increasing the size of the scale. Okay, well, that's rather frustrating, but let's see. If I do, it should be able to. Okay, that's not what I want. Rendering. Source color. Let's see. I want the depth priority and the detail mode high, of course. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm sorry. Moving on. Let's see. That should be kind of everything. Let me just make sure that covered everything I wanted to cover. We should have. I'll get over all that later. See, emitters. I'll cover that in part. Yeah. Okay. So I've got pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this episode covered. So thanks for watching, and sorry I didn't get the lens flare thing sorted out. I don't really know. I mean, I know that all these options are here, but those are just like the render distance stuff and the motion blur. But I don't know why that's not working, like how it's supposed to be working. Figured it would be different, but I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.